Previously on Down the Rabbit Hole podcast with Omar and Gwen.
I feel like my get up for the day is very inspired by the Fae because I feel very psychedelic, just very magical, and like I want to dip into that. Like again, I even have like things around me, like this old candle holder.
Omar, we talked yesterday, and I wanted to say I did talk to him about it. We did have a few fans of this podcast, lovely friends, lovely fans. They gave us some topics that we're going to cover, and we really did kind of go down the rabbit hole yesterday too, where we're just like, these sound so interesting. Like, what do we do? But I was telling Omar the last episode we did past lives because that's very much kind of like where I'm at right now.
Mm-hmm.
But Omar has been kind of getting like intrigue with the fairies or Fae, which is why he was talking about like his shirts and having like all that energy.
And I was like, I need to be outside. I want to see what's outside. And I had no familiarity with the Fae or anything magical 2 years ago. I mean, I understood that they were, people, but like never to this close encounter like I had like this past week. But they did, when I came back inside my house, they did come inside my room, and I felt like I saw like a whole bunch of little gnome people, and they were like, yay, oh my God, hey, it's the party, like, oh my God. And then they just told me, like, you have to go outside, come outside. And I was like, oh, okay, let me just go outside. I went outside, and like, look at the sky. And it was as if like there was a crack in the ceiling. There was this other theory that we had spoken about, and how I feel like perhaps Lewis Carroll was inspired by the Fae to write, certain segments in his book of Alice in Wonderland, because Alice clearly had like a moment where she was having a tea party and she was communing. She ate the food, she was there, but eventually they got sick and tired of her because she was so ignorant as to like the land, so to speak, that they kind of took her into a wrong direction where she was like scared, and she was like, I'm so lost right now.
And I think that kind of like does tie back into what I touched on a little bit, and you were just like, yeah, because it was talking about how here, when we're so modern, we become industrialized. Like, there's not a whole lot of greenery in a lot of places. I mean, you do have parks, we can make our own garden, but like back to what you were saying with Alice, like you were looking at her like she was so ignorant because she didn't understand. And I do think, like, as of today, a lot of people don't think about that too. They're getting spiritual and they're just like, okay, I need to get the starter kit, and it's like, I need to get the sage, I need to get the Palo Santo. You and I have talked about this. There are many other things that you can burn. Do I have Palo Santo? Yes, I do. Do I buy it often? No, I don't. And also with the sage, I don't burn sage as much. Is it a part of my heritage? Yes. But I don't use it as often because it is becoming endangered as far as a plant species, and so is the Palo Santo. The Palo Santo you get from South America. They're tearing down the bigger trees, Fern Gully moment, tearing down the bigger trees and the baby trees to get the sticks of wood, right? So there's so many other herbs that you can burn. If you can plant sage. Some of the humid climates like California, where Omar is, and Texas here, you can grow sage your own and just get that. And wouldn't that be awesome that you're getting it from your own, you're asking for permission and only pulling what you can, and not getting it from somewhere that you don't know. But you can burn rosemary, you can burn thyme, you can burn oregano, all of these things that you can grow if you're able to have a garden. Granted, I understand that you can't, but there's so many herbs that you can burn in replacement that are so plentiful, and that's showing respect in other places. And And we don't really think about those things on being conscious. Granted, I'm not perfect at it, but again, it's just like, those are the types of things of how you respect the nature. In turn, I think it respects the Fae as well, because that's where they live.
Because of the sustainability.
It's the sustainability. And so a lot of us, we don't really think about those things. It's just kind of like, well, I know I need this. Okay, but I'm not really thinking about anything else right now. And it's like, I've been there before too. I totally understand and I totally get it. But like, the more that you do research and you do know, like, again, you and I talking about the Fae, we're just like, Omar, did you even think about this? Like, again, we're putting the pieces together where it makes sense to us. And it's like, yeah, the plant lives are living things. So I can see how if we tend to the gardens, we're not being as so wasteful, I guess is the term, or disrespecting like the grass or the greens or whatever we're planting or what's outside of our backyard. Then yeah, of course they're going to be abundant to us and being helpful to us, because they do acknowledge that. Because you were telling me the Fae, you were like, I don't know if the Fae can follow you around, and I was like, the Fae can follow you around. They're
I
paying
knew you were going to get
attention.
to this.
They're paying attention, sir. They're paying attention. So yeah.
No, I knew, and you know what? Knowing that you just said that, like, no, it's true. I didn't realize that the Fae could follow me, because I've been using that Divine Fairy Site oil just because it's been really slow at work, and when it's slow at work, we don't have a large amount of tips that can come in so that we can all redistribute and share. So I was like, I want to try if I can experiment with something that is a lot more tangible, and at the same time I can see results visually and or see how things have been shifting. Now at work, I'm supposed to wear, they provide hats for us to wear while we're working, but I've recently, even throughout the retrograde, which is actually when I start speaking about it, it's kind of like funny how this kind of worked itself out in my favor, because my coworker has a witch hat that she wears to work all the time, and she has no problem, receiving sort of a negative attention or positive one. She's an Aquarius rising. She doesn't care. She's just going to be herself. She dresses whatever she wants. She really stands out. So when the retrograde started, I was like, you know what? You have an extra hat. Can I wear that extra hat? And she was like, yeah, no, wear the hat. Like, it's really fun. Honestly, I love wearing my witch hat. And so I asked my boss, I'm like, is it fine? I can wear this witch hat to work? He said, yes, by all means, wear it. It brings in, fun. And she's all about that because she wants engagement. So I took it a step further and I was like, all right, well, what if I were to put that fairy site oil and line the tip jar with some of it to see if we can generate a little bit of more tips? Because again, like, tips are great, but I mean, I love the feeling I get when people just put like a $5 bill down, which is a lot, because I'm like, wow, you have $5, thank you, me. Or just singles, extra change. I've seen, after I do that, again, within permission, that I told my boss, like, hey, just letting you know, I put some oil just to magically attract more money or change. And I feel like that's sort of like the phase, like, level of expertise here. Like, oh, you looking for extra change? Here you go. We found some pennies, some quarters, all these different things. And I'm like, okay, so the past 2 weeks have been very magical, only because, like, listen, I'm not saying that, like, I'm not charismatic or I'm not doing my job, but I find as of lately, again, I haven't been feeling myself. I've been trying to be performative at work because I need to be. That's what they pay me. But to come to my surprise, dollars, $5 bills, extra change, just dumping in the tip jar, and I'm just like, thank you, Faye. Thank you, because guess what? This is my gas money. Thank you. Or just like, money to just quickly burn.
Yeah. And there was a thought that mysteriously, we all know that's not true mysteriously, but the change. So I was doing laundry a couple days ago, and my husband always has like loose change in his pocket, and so I was like, you know what, like, he's not missing it. Obviously, it was in his pant pocket, so I always like put it on my altar or something. And the thought came, which is what it was reminding me again, that change, when you find loose change, it was the symbolism of like ancestors and angels, like sending a message, especially dimes. So if you find the loose change, that's just kind of like a message of like, hey, we're here. Hi. So again, I find it interesting how the different cultures of certain things, you can either call it angels, you can call it fae. Maybe they are magically kind of like meeting in the middle, because they do bring prosperity. And I was telling Omar, the video was mentioning that sometimes people would request from the fae to kind of help them like with prosperous wealth kinds of things, and they were kind of like that type, or the entity of like, they didn't really care what they had to do to get the means to give it to the person. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just like, I would like to know where my money's coming from, and not like,
No, yeah,
like dirty money. But anyway, all money's dirty.
No, I understand what you're saying, because I guess when you're personally working with them, I mean, again, I just did it because I was like, let's experiment at work here. This is just a place of work. At the same time, people don't have to tip, but if they would like to leave us change, by all means. When you said dime, what's funny is that we've been having a lot more dimes lately. Less quarters, less, it's just an overabundance of dimes everywhere. So I'm like, confirmation. Like, it's true.
It's true.
And at the same time, like, even in my workspace, like, we've had a lot of magical experiences, like things just dropping, something falling off a shelf, the bathroom door fucking really being open and no one's there. I'm like, okay, I know that like where I work has been really magical, or has I mean, again, it's near like a very big like shopping center. So I think commerce, I think of like, you know, loose buttons, loose change, people like, you know, losing things. And I've actually, like, now that I think about it, like people have left. I understand we're under COVID times, and I'm not necessarily like too ignorant to just take things from other people, but like we have had a lot of like missing items, like people forgetting like bags of shopping, like shopping bags full of clothes. And I've even like even asked my boss, I'm like, hey, they don't come back for in a week, I'm taking all those clothes because I want it. And I cannot but feel, oops, that like the Fae also really enjoy places where things get lost and found.
Yeah.
And if you have a clutter of a whole bunch of stuff, they'll take it.
Yeah, because I mean, if you didn't respect it, then, you know, they're just going to be like, well, shiny thing. You're not going to miss it because it was sitting here in this pile. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and take it.
Mm-hmm. No, and you know what's also
this makes sense.
very interesting is that we've left, like, at my coworker that wears a witch hat, she also leaves, like, you know, crystals lying around a specific area. Like, little small things like this.
Yeah.
Now, tell me why she has to constantly replace them. Not that, like, anyone at work takes them, because they don't.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone at work is like, whoever this is, like, we're leaving it alone. Sometimes things go missing. Crystals go missing, but then suddenly out of nowhere, they get magically replaced. They get put back where they were again before. And now that I'm talking about this, like, a lot of us, actually, my coworker, like, I think is very much connected to the Fae, has always had her things stolen from her. But she always has nice, shiny, bright things with her all the time. And we don't have like a theft problem at work. They're just like, you know, her headphones, or like a certain key or something, or even loose change, because she likes to keep loose change, and it always goes missing for her. Like, she loses lighters like crazy. I mean, I lose lighters all the time. And then sometimes when I'm at work, they're like, oh, is this your lighter? I'm like, I've been missing that for like a month. Where'd you find that? Oh, it just came up. And I
Yeah.
think about it and I'm like, well, perhaps there's like some sort of like recycling effect that they might do, which is like, oh, well, we're going to borrow this for a second because someone else might need it and we'll bring it back. But like, I guess that's where you get into trouble because sometimes they might take something value that is yours and they thought it was perfectly okay to give to their like to someone else.
Well, I'm kind of laughing because again, I kind of think I'm going to title this like Angel or Fae, like question mark, and then it's like discussion. So you're talking about things going missing. I know I've talked about like me doing it one time and then something like the shiny thing went missing. So I'm helping a friend. She asked me if I could make her a bracelet for protection. So I said, sure. And as I'm talking to her about what she was thinking about, she said she wanted to get red jasper. I was like, okay. I was like, I can make this work. And then for some reason, but again, I get the message. I was like, Archangel Michael. And she goes, yeah, I was just told that I have a connection with him. So like maybe if you can kind of work something in there with him, like that'd be great. So I was like, okay. So I get down to working on her piece and I'm sending her like a screenshot. I send her the screenshot after the case. I'm hearing George, the way he channels, it's like we bring him in. So I'm not saying like Michael is just like sitting in my room. It's just I feel the energy. So I can hear George talking. And the next thing I know, I'm like working because he's very particular, but he was telling me the colors and the stones. And I was just like, why are you being so like specific with this than from the first piece that I made for you? And so I go online. That's the first thing that pops up. I'm like, okay, this makes sense as to why now. It's because you're feeling a certain way.
Mhm.
Well, they're talking. The next thing I know is it's kind of like this playful fight where they're just like, oh, you're so annoying. And then I hear George just being like, like, oh, you're such a drama queen, you know, like that kind of thing. And again, it's not any disrespect on Archangel Michael. Again, he shows up, he is the conqueror, like, no joke. Like, I love his energy. He's just very particular. So, and he is larger than life, I will say that. Metatron is very much larger than life, but he's the same, like, you know, like in his own way. So after I hear that comment from George, I'm looking for the other side of the bracelet because it had beads. It was 2 parts, so it was going to just clip like underneath.
Mm-hmm.
I am searching around on my floor for this other part of the bracelet. I have one connecting to the middle piece, but I can't find the other side. So I'm looking, I'm taking things apart, I'm taking things out of the box, and I'm like, guys, I know I left the piece here. This is probably the only second time this has happened, but I mean, I was thinking like in the realms of Fae, like something went missing, but I didn't know the angels could do that. And then I'm listening to this and we're having the conversation. I'm like, apparently they can take stuff too, you know, and like help you find it. So anyway, I was like, I'm going to the bathroom. When I get back, that piece better show up.
Mm-hmm.
I come back and it's like I'm looking around and it's like magically like placed on top of like one of the boxes that I had. And I was like, hello?
shut the front
Thank
door.
you. But yeah, I said thank you. But like it went missing. And I was like, guys, like I need to work. Y'all make up or whatever y'all got to do. I was like, but please, I'd like to finish this bracelet. Please give me the other piece back. And so I go to the restroom, I come back, and it's just like placed like on top of like one of the bins that I had the cover on top. I was like, I just looked there. So I had to send a video to my friend because of like telling her, and I was like, this is what I heard, you know, like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and I thought it was funny. And I guess maybe because I laughed like, that's maybe why the piece was taken. And I was like, look,
This is not okay.
this is not okay.
Well, this is very interesting because again, like, you know how we were talking about how like but angels are light beings and how fae are like light beings, but like earthly light beings.
Mm-hmm.
And how in some form they like I guess they do function differently. I guess it's like higher octave, lower octave, perhaps.
Mm-hmm. 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 And think about it like this. We are all used to seeing, I know the way I was describing angels, like we kind of look at them with like wings and stuff like that. Not all angels can have wings or they don't. They don't look like the way that they are depicted in paintings.
Oh no.
Number one, I'm just trying to let people know that because it's just like, what? Yeah. Sometimes they can be very scary looking. So, but yeah, it's very interesting to me how even the way that the forms are for fae and angels, it's very much something that we cannot understand is because of the way they look like. Does that, you understand my point?
No, yeah,
It's
yeah,
very
yeah.
interesting. And like you said, they are light beings. We don't understand. They are associated with light. If you think about it, fae, Beltane, the Sabbath, pagan Sabbath, we do celebrate as far as like fertility and fae. So of course everything's like blooming and abundant, and yeah, they're gonna come out in the sunlight because we're about to step into that transition of celebrating the sun. We have celebrated that the sun has returned, but it's like more so we are going to be feeling the effects of days getting longer, if that makes sense.
No.
So, yeah.
What's it also I have a story that I don't quite know the scientific aspects of this, but like last year when the pandemic hit, I think probably around like April, like early April, late April, I have a neighbor that actually has like a tree that like produces like oranges. But this year, and anyways, didn't know that like these oranges were special for the 2020 because they became blood oranges out of nowhere. And I was excited because I was like, oh yes, like I can't wait to see this year having them like, you know, another batch of blood oranges. But not to shit talk my neighbor, but like they have a house that looks so dumped on that all the surrounding neighbors have asked her like, hey, would you mind if we sort of like help you, you know, paint your house or do something because it looks like an eyesore, it looks like an abandoned house. And she said no. And she just doesn't care. Now, I find it really interesting that this year in particular, and also everyone around the neighborhood has like made their alterations to their outside spaces, whether it be the front of the house or the back of the house or even internally, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I find it really interesting how her house in particular has not bared any fruit since then. I will take a picture of the backyard for you. A tree dead, just there's nothing, there's windows that are broken. It looks like an eyesore of a house. And I can't help but think that like, well, if you think about it, like blood oranges are sort of like uncommon, right?
Yeah.
Something happens to to them where they produce a lot more antioxidants or whatever. And I think it's sort of interesting how like that house, that tree has never bared fruit for the longest. And then 2020 comes around, like blood oranges, like, okay, cool, health, cool, whatever. But now that like she's like, you know, denied all help for anyone to help with her house, nothing, not even a single orange. And I'm like, don't oranges always come back annually? But to this year, nothing. And all of us had the time last year to help her with her home because she was always at work, you know what I mean? So I'm feeling like the Fae have realized that, like, oh, okay, well, she doesn't care. None this
It's
year.
it's respecting the property. It's respecting the outside. It's respecting the spirit of the plant. And yeah, I agree.
I'm just sad. I was really sad this year. I was looking forward to like blood oranges. I'm like, can't you just donate the tree here?
For real. Like, I mean, my mom has done that before too, because we had big, beautiful, like king palm trees that we had kind of like shaped to cut down. But we took them out because it was blocking the view of the front door of the house.
Mhm.
And so she had offered like to anybody, like, hey, if you want to come get them, like we'll unplant them and you can go and bury them wherever you want. But yeah, maybe she might be willing, just being like, hey, you want to come dig up this tree? By all means, come get it. Like,
I mean, again, like the Fae ruling vegetation, the Fae just ruling the outside, and it's kind of clear as day as to who takes care of the lawns and who doesn't take care of property to begin with. I mean, that house is a mess. It looks like it's falling apart, and people ask me, like, does anyone even live there? And I'm like, yeah, they don't care. And honestly speaking, I don't ever see anything happening in that house. Like, if I show you, I mean, I'm gonna like send you personally pictures of this house, but I mean, you'll be able to see that, like, oh my god, yeah, definitely fucking no one lives there. But I find that, like, interesting enough how every single person in my neighborhood has asked her, like, can we help you with your the outside? And she said no, and no tree, no fruit, none of that. Really disappointed. But it also just brings me back to the original point, which was how, although they are folk that are mischievous, they really do have the best intentions, which is respect the land and we'll respect you. We won't take your things. But I mean, even if you respect us, we will be funny with you. I just find it to be sort of like that, like, archetypal version of like the crazy, like really outspoken activist of like, oh yeah, if this is what you're gonna do, then this is what we're gonna do. We're taking our land back. We're taking all your things away. And again, when I was in that psychedelic trip, I just couldn't help feel, but I was a lot more connected to the earth, and it had an enlightening moment of an understanding of like, wow, look at these precious resources of land that we have, which is why so many of us that partake in psychedelics like to go out to like the forest or just being around nature, because it definitely comes out alive. Like, I don't know if you remember, but like even in True Blood, like when she stepped through that portal, everything was a lot more exaggerated and golden and like a lot more exciting. You know what I mean? And I really do feel, and my theory is that mushrooms are like a portal to the fairy world if they choose to, show themselves to you.
I remember I actually sent we'll probably do another episode on this, because I know in one of my books, it was a Stephanie Woodfield book, I sent it to a friend. It does have research on the Fae, and I did send her a couple things. The mushrooms portals. I had the witch group that I started with, they were covering like fairies, and apparently one of the lore is if you see how the mushrooms, they grow like into a circle, that is considered the portal for the Fae. And again, granted, like what is good or bad, or what you deem, it could be true, it could be false. But if you step into it, it's kind of like you're stepping into the ring realm of the Fae, and maybe it might not be such a pleasant visit. So it's kind of like you're crossing the territory of theirs and being like, excuse me, you just stepped into our house, and who are you? So, and it's supposed to bring you some sort of like curse or bad luck or something. I think, if that's what I remember. That's what I remember.
I mean, again, well, I mean, I don't know. I think I believe it to be true in a way.
I can see that too, because again, it's kind of like somebody coming into my home without an invitation and just being like, excuse me, and you're here because of why? Like, yeah.
And then going back to the way that you had met, that I just, had realized, or you told me that, like, yeah, no, they can follow you. They'll follow you.
They definitely can. I think that they are helpful. I think if we're being cautious, environmentally conscientious, I guess is the word. I can't talk today. And yeah, they are little helpers too. It's just like any other spirits that are here for our good. But I found it interesting because from what I'd known, and then like it was just kind of like one of those things where it was like a blender just like went off in my brain where it was like, what if they are this? What if it's that? I don't know. What do you think? I thought that was kind of trippy because I was like, this is the things that I thought I knew, which again, I have not like really like delved into the Fae culture. Have I tried to like invoke them to come in? Absolutely. But it was kind of like that one time and I was just like, I'll work with you again, but maybe I do need to learn a little bit more because again, it's just respecting them. And but yeah, nothing else has gone missing. I just said sorry. Like, and they were like, well, I got what I wanted. Like, I'm leaving. I'm like, okay. But yeah. But yeah. I mean, I don't think that they're bad. And you and I have talked about this. Define good or bad. So if we're having like bad luck in life, yeah, maybe we are getting past like the evil eye or certain things or whatever we believe in. Sometimes if we do have like a streak of bad luck, maybe it could be, but quite honestly, like I just kind of feel like sometimes these things just happen in life and we can call on the powers that be to kind of help us out just a little bit. But most of these things is just life happening to us.
Yeah.
You know, it
Yeah.
just depends how you look at it.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, in the end, it's really just about respecting the things that are unseen, because just because you think you know, you don't even know. I mean, for instance, like a fairy portal, like, oh, you fucked up today. You did that.
You came into the wrong house.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, with all magical people, it's or magical or deities, goddesses, give them their respect, and they won't do anything. But at the moment that they feel like you're disrespectful to the land, I mean, how many different for instance, I mean, I don't want to make a generalized statement, but how many movies have we seen of like the forest being like, oh my God, things are going missing. It's chaotic down here. Oh my God. They probably didn't want you there.
Yeah.
They know. And it's usually the ones that are like, oh my God, we're going to go like, I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily trespass into someone else's like backyard and be like, well, I mean, I'm here, which is why I have such respect for them. I don't know them very well. I'm having experiences with the Fae. I love communing with them because they just seem like curious cats that just are happy and just want to take care of the vegetation, or rather like the greenery around them. And I don't want to like mess with that because I do respect the earth and I do respect the land, which is why I don't litter. And if I see anyone that litters, it's just, you know what? Consequence. I mean, God forbid I start littering my backyard. We all live here. Yeah. So I think that like, I'm trying to like, I guess trying to wrap up my statement, and there's a lot of words that I'm trying to come out with. But like in the end, like, yeah, I love them because they are a reminder to keep the earth sacred, because not only is it sacred for all of us, but it's sacred to them too.
Very much so. I think a lot of it is a reminder and just being very conscious and being mindful of our actions, and it's like, okay, we can care about what's going on like in our bubble, but then they kind of like broaden your perspective, like, all right, let's get outside of your backyard. like how can you be helpful like outside?
Mhm.
So it's hard, because granted, you and I both live like in cities, but I mean, it's just like little things, just making sure you are recycling. My husband and I, we have a compost. So if there is like spoiled food or something, we can just throw it out. I do leave little offerings of certain things that are fresh. Sometimes it depends on what it is. Like if it's kind of like going through certain things. But yeah, I mean, just being very mindful, and recycling the cans and plastics and all that stuff. So
Also, just like planting seeds and beautifying everything,
yes.
adding. Because I mean, there's so many like trees being cut. There's so many things being taken away, especially with global warming. Like preservation is a big thing, and I mean, saving the bees for crying out loud because they pollinate everything.
Yes.
I wonder if like the bees are part of like the Fae.
I wouldn't be surprised. Because again, if you think of bees have the symbolism as of a spirit animal of prosperity because they are associated with honey.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So they could be. They could be.
Yeah.
We could go on it all day.
True. We're gonna make this a two-part series again, but
I think so.
that was just I love this topic only because I think that the next time we record or have like the again Fae or Angel, there's different. But maybe our next topic should be angels in specific.
Of who we've worked with. We could do that. We could
Yeah,
do that. Do that.
because I mean, again, like you had said, like not all angels look the same. They're not what art has depicted them to be. If you look at, if anyone Googles like what angels are, how angels are depicted in like sacred texts, whatever, there's this big scary thing. They're not scary though, but like again, they're appealing to us in a different form that we're not used to on this plane. So yeah, let's talk about more about that because I know you work with a lot more angels than I do. And besides, you have even interpreted for me in my readings that like archangel, wow. Archangel Uriel.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes. Yeah. And I mean they all have like what they specialize in, what they do, and what their connections are. And yeah, that would be a really awesome topic. I think so. We're gonna put it in a bowl. This said bowl.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But yeah. Even with this topic that we had today too, like kind of the mix between the two, the different cultures and the different witchcraft practices.
But we can even talk about the genies.
The genies, that was also mentioned in the video as well, about because of the understanding of the spirits. Now, mind you, too, sometimes when we refer to angels, some of them, depending on which heavens that they're in, some of them are very heavy duty, and it's just like, I don't know if I really want to work with you because that's kind of like real, like tough stuff. But again, very serious magic and invoking them. But Omar, I lost my train of thought. I don't know why.
You were talking about angels. You were talking about invoking.
And your topic was, it was getting along the lines of that topic. This is so going to be edited in the
Do you feel like it's really, I guess the reason why they have such a like bad rep, or just even
your sound just went off.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Hi, I can hear you now.
That's weird. What was the last thing you heard?
You asked, do you think, and you were asking the question, or asking me a question. And then I didn't hear the question at all. I saw your mouth move, but it was completely silent. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Somebody's trying to talk to us. I don't know who, but could be Susie. I don't know.
I don't think it's her. I think we talked about some particular people, and now it's time to go. So do you think that it's based off of like one's individual relationship with these good/bad things? Because it really, I find that like, I mean, we can even take this back to like Morrigan, how everyone is like, oh my God, no, I'm scared. And it's like, well, do you have a personal relationship with them? No, then you can't say anything. Again, like I've only spoken like my experiences with the Fae. I don't really consider them being like horrible experiences. They're actually just kind of like magical and sort of, oh, funny, that happened. Cool. It's very small, never necessarily so bad. But again, like it depends for me on one's individual relation.
I think it does look quite a bit, because I told you I have done some of that demon work, and depending on the ritual that you do, you can either make the request. They're not really getting their essence known, but it's like you did call their attention. And then there is like ritual 2 and 3. So it's kind of like you can really bring them into the room, once you protect yourself. But if you've done further research on the ones that you're calling in, some of them are actually teachers. They are not all bad. I have even heard like demons being of like reptilian form. There, whoever it is again. The reptilian form, and sometimes that's not such a bad thing. That could be in correspondence with a particular shadow or whatever you've been attached with in your lifetime. So I kind of like staying in between of like working, because sometimes they all served a purpose for something, for some point. And the angels and demons, they want to help you. They love going to work, So yeah, it's depending how you look at it. But it's definitely personal experience. And yeah, they're both just as strong. So
Respect for everyone, inclusivity for every single magical being out there on Earth, or of whether they are seen or unseen.
Yes. I'm sure there's probably some entities that have not become attached with yet, that I'm sure is probably a little more powerful from my control, but I haven't had anything happen scary from the movies. It was just like, hey, did you hear about this? And I'm like, nope, what happened? Da 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 da. I'm like, huh. I know who did that.
If anyone else have had any other experience with the Fae, or have any other questions, could y'all please like email us?
Email us, leave a comment.
Leave us a comment.
Yes, we'd love to hear from you. Like, what's your experience with them like? It could help somebody else. How do you connect with them? What offerings do you leave personally from what we haven't left that you've come to think that they like? And quite honestly, I think like watering the garden, that is really like a nice dedication to them. Like, regardless, they like having their little habitats flourish, So yeah. So I know I had a brain fart earlier, and we were trying to get back on topic, and then somebody wanted to step in and say hello. I don't know who it was, but are we done for the day?
I think we're done for the day, but I mean, girl, listen, we're recording this on the day of the full moon. Well, not necessarily day, but like in the sign that of which the full moon's going to be. So this doesn't necessarily surprise me to begin with.
Yeah. Again, veils are very thin.
It's that they have been, and you know what? After, I would love to see what, on a personal note, what kind of experiences you feel the day getting to. I think it's tomorrow now.
No, it's actually tonight.
Tonight. Actually,
it
tonight.
is today.
Right.
Yeah, it is today. So we are and we have hit like the highest point of the full moon. Like as of here in Texas, it was like closer to like noontime. So we're already like in the effects of the full moon. And then again, you can still like cast your energies, spells, rituals, whatever you want to do. You have about 3 days to do it. So it's very much at its peak. But yeah, I mean, I have been having some crazy downloads and messages and things that came through before this.
Well, again, like I can't help, but I mean, you were talking earlier on the phone how you've been dreaming, but you don't remember. Yeah, if there's a full moon in Capricorn, it's gonna be illuminating your first house of self. I think that like for me, it's in the house of home, which is why I want to put on some divine fairy site oil on tonight and just leave an offering tonight, because I would love to see what happens. The full moon is at its brightest, so it's like illuminating, you know, everything, giving us that little bit of light in the darkness. So I would like to see what kind of fae people show up, because in the end, like, hey, they'll enjoy it.
Yeah, and I think it's also listed as the strawberry moon as well. And again, it's very fitting as far as strawberry bring fruits and the fae. Yeah.
So
I
that's
like
where
that
I'm
concept.
at, but
Yeah,
but you
really
guys,
cool.
it was really nice talking to you. Please leave us comments. We love actually a fan approached you and told you how much of a fan that that they were of the podcast. And you know what, y'all, I am not asking for more love per se, because I know y'all are like loyal listeners or anything, but please like share. If anyone has ever had like an interest in all things magical, please send them our way, because in all reality, this is a podcast where we just hang out, talk about magical things, and uncover its mysteries.
Yeah, and it's for you guys to ponder and think about. And again, Omar and I have talked about this, and we have our friends like we've had on social media and reach out, and they say that they love it. We haven't met in person, but I thought it was very cool that
but it's coming soon.
It's coming soon, but I thought it was really cool that somebody here locally decided to listen to our podcast and was like, "You're gonna be at the fair, I can't wait to meet you." And I got to meet her, and it was really awesome. So I was like, somebody cares. Somebody cares.
You know what? When you come to California, we may have to do like a in-person like recording.
Yes. Do you not think I have that written down somewhere? Like, and then Kelly's gonna make the appearance, you know, she's just coming in just like, "Hi, what are we doing?"
She could even be our guest.
She could be a guest. She could be a guest. She could definitely be a guest. I think that'd be fantastic. Fantastic. But yeah.
You're coming here in like almost 2 weeks, and I'm so excited. By the time that you get here, I don't know, I feel like we're gonna leave talking about so many different things that like by the time that we record, when you get back home, like we're gonna have so many things to share.
Yes, and a lot of enlightenment of things going on, of certain things that I might get while I'm there. Yeah, I think so. And then I'd be like calling, "Omar, I just got home. I need to talk about this right now."
You know that I'm always, and you know what? You know that you're the only one that I actually talk to.
I know. I love that too. I do have my friends, and yeah, but like my close friends, like including you too, like I share, and yeah. But man, it's good like when we're able to do this. We talk on the phone a lot, but it's always cool to like see each other's face. So like we're actually gonna see each other in person. So exciting. I can't wait.
This is true. I prefer visual.
Right? Maybe we need to set up dates.
I mean, again, it's just
recording, but
it's a different feeling, especially when like I'm talking to you and like seeing your reaction rather than being like, outside, like just perched. Like, yeah. I don't think I could ever cry in front of you.
We'll see.
Yeah, no, I know. I think that if anything, it'll be like happy tears, not necessarily sad ones.
And then I'll be singing, hold me closer, tiny dancer.
I miss you, and I can't wait for you to be here.
I know, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. We like trailed off from like the ending of
No, I know, but you know, like, I mean, this is a very big deal for our fans. Like, listen,
Yeah.
like, we do this podcast all the time, but we've never actually met in person. So this is a very exciting meeting. We might even have to post like a video of the actual meeting, like just series of clips of like, oh my God, look at us. Ah.
Yeah. There will be many things of just being like, hey Omar, and be like, hey Gwen. Just rolling up on your DMs. But anyways, guys, until next episode of Down the Rabbit Hole podcast, we are Omar and Gwen, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.
See you soon, Alice. Bye.